I would like to thank one of my patrons, Derek Talley, for sending me this story that is coming out of Williamston, South Carolina. And this story right here is the perfect example of when you constantly let criminals get away doing criminal shit, they're going to roll back around and they're going to continue doing things until you actually do what it's supposed to do, and that is bring them to justice. So in this image, you see a man by the name of Richard Edward Inman. He's 47 years old, and he used to be a police chief. Now, back in 2017, this man robbed a bank. You heard that correctly. He robbed a bank. Now, that would be seen as a felony because, robbery is considered as a felony, but not when it comes to people like him. And you know what I mean when I say that. So he was not given any jail time. He basically just got a slap on the wrist, probably some misdemeanor charges. And he was only sentenced to probation. Well, if they actually handled this the way it was supposed to, he would not have gotten away. Well, not so much gotten away. He wouldn't have had the opportunity to rob yet another bank. Yes, this man robbed another bank. And this time, the people who were there were prepared because he barely got away. He actually got shot. Like somebody in that bank shot his ass. Now, I was reading through some of the article. They said that the time he should have gotten behind bars should have been 10 to 30 years. That was when he robbed the bank the first time. But they only gave him probation, and that basically allowed him to get away, and like I said, to rob yet another bank, but this time someone shot his ass. He didn't die, but at least somebody got a bullet into his flesh. I'm going to go ahead and read this article coming from the Free Thought Project. In 2017, the former police chief for Williamston, South Carolina, walked into a Bank of America with a gun, handed the teller a note, and then walked out of the bank with a sack of cash. He was later arrested and found guilty for committing armed robbery, a felony according to 1611-330. That imposes a penalty of 10 to 30 years behind bars. However, he received no jail time. Now, after receiving his blue privilege in the form of a wrist slap for robbing a bank, this former top cop has struck yet again. Richard Edward Inman was arrested late last month for robbing yet another Bank of America, this time in Pawleys Island. Inman was apparently on a mission to get away, and as he tried to escape, he was shot. According to police, Inman arrived at the bank around 6 p.m., handed the teller a note, and then took off in a van with an undisclosed amount of cash. It says, investigators deployed a bloodhound tracking team as part of their search effort and eventually engaged in a vehicle pursuit southbound on U.S. Highway 17 toward Charleston. Around 7:30 p.m., Inman was stopped by Charleston County and Georgetown County Sheriff's deputies on Highway 17 across from the Dohall Plantation Road, according to the Charleston County Sheriff's Office. During the stop, at least 2 deputies from the Charleston and Georgetown Sheriff's Offices fired at Inman while trying to apprehend him. Both agencies confirmed. Inman suffered a non-life-threatening injuries and was transported to a hospital. The details as to how or why police shot Inman remain unclear. However, they likely considered him armed and dangerous since he had just committed armed robbery of a bank. On Monday, authorities confirmed Inman had been booked into jail after being released from the hospital and charged with armed robbery, entering a bank with intent to steal, and failure to stop for blue lights. Prior to quitting his job of police chief and shamed for making racist jokes. Not surprising. Inman had been a cop for 25 years. When he committed the first armed robbery in 2017, the judge likely considered his prior career in law enforcement as the reason for only giving him 4 years of probation. Now, however, prosecutors will likely throw the book at him as he's proven to be a repeat offender in less than 2 years. While a cop turning into armed bank robber may seem like a rare and insane situation, TFTP has reported on multiple instances of this very phenomenon. Then it just goes into various cases where people who used to be cops became armed robbers, but we're not going to read that part. But very interesting indeed. But like I said, the more they continue to let them get away with these crimes, the more they'll come back and be bound to repeat them, or do something even more extreme where there might be some life-threatening casualties. I've said this plenty of times in my videos, but they just don't quite get it. I don't know if they're not getting the message or whatever the case may be. But here's a perfect example of that. Good thing that no one in the bank got hurt and only he got dealt with. Well, somewhat. Y'all let me know what you think about this down in the comments, and I'll talk to you in the next one.